Ready.
Hey, I'm Micah, right? You might know me from my presentations that might contain allusions to games in the Souls and Soulsborne genres, right? I love these games. I own 6 of the 7 games that are in that lineup. I beat 3 of them. I platinum Elden Ring on the PS4. I beat Elden Ring like 15 times. It's a fun game, trust. Since Dark Souls 3 came out in like 2016, the genre has surged in popularity. Elden Ring, it's massive. I can't even use that word anymore. As of like September, Elden Ring crossed like 30 million copies sold after the DLC. In fact, during the DLC, during the summer, on the Steam charts, Elden Ring and its DLC were the #1 and 2 purchased and played games concurrently at the time, right? I love these games, and right now, I am here to exposit to you why I love these games and what I've learned from them. These games are often difficult. Supposedly, media says they're difficult. They're not really. And honestly, a common theme of these games, in both gameplay and just thematics, is tackling the insurmountable. Something to understand about these games is the design philosophy that's hosted in them. There can be hard fights. There can be a lot of hard fights in these games. And when people complain about them online or even to other people, there's a term that people use that's either a joke, genuine advice, or to demean the people complaining. And those people that do complain have some credence to their claim. But this phrase, it's a funny phrase. I'm sure you've heard it. It didn't root from the genre, but it certainly popularized it. When you have trouble, when there's something that you don't want to deal with, but you know you still got to deal with it, you just gotta wrong section, my bad. But in these games, if you're having trouble, the game offers you opportunities if you use basic observational skills to adjust to your inclination of skill, I'll say. Sometimes you could suck at the game, right? And the first boss of Dark Souls 1, it's a pretty good game, is the Asylum Demon. You don't even have a weapon when you fight this thing. You do 2 damage. It has 1,000 HP. But you run from it. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to run from it, go to another area, and get a sword. And even then, when you fight it, it still doesn't take that much damage. What you're supposed to do after that is there's a vantage point in which you can jump down and attack it, and that takes away 2/3 of the boss's HP. And there are several instances of it, like the Limgrave Tree Sentinel. You don't need to fight it in the beginning of Elden Ring. It's the first enemy you ever encounter outside of the tutorial area. He's a fun guy. What you're supposed to do is come back after you gear up. This example is combined both Elden Ring and Dark Souls 3. Sometimes in boss arenas, there's just weapons that straight up make the boss easier if you actually explore the arena. Like the the serpent hunter spear or the stormcaller sword, they do percentage-based damage. They get special properties specifically in those arenas. They make the fight easier. You just need to explore, and people don't do that because they suck. But now, when there's tasks that are difficult, the phrase that I was alluding to earlier is just getting good. Sometimes you just gotta get good at life. Life can be difficult. It can be. But that's just part of life. Like, you not doing the thing that you really don't want to do isn't gonna make that thing disappear. That's just facts. And so you just gotta throw yourself at that thing sometimes, relentlessly. And it's not always applicable, but when it is applicable, that you just need to throw yourself at that task. It's often really crucial for your future. So that's why that's important. You wanna hear me talk about lore? Because I'm a lore junkie. Dark Souls 1 and 3, they weave together a narrative that I really like personally. Lucas kissed me. If you ever held on to something for a really long time, you can hurt it, you know? Dark Souls 1 and 3, but mainly 1, is rooted in the delay of the apocalypse, but really just the next natural cycle of the world. There's like 4 Lord souls, powerful souls, like the Dark Soul, but also the Light Soul, and 2 others that don't matter. And so during Dark Souls 1, you're in the Age of Fire, which is characterized by rule of the Light Soul and the rule of the gods, and also by the secondary status of humans, the heirs of the Dark Soul, title god. And Gwyn is really afraid of the power of the humans and the Dark Soul. Change. He's very afraid of change. That's the point. So he creates the first flame to prolong the Age of Fire, but that sacrifices a piece of himself, and he does this several times, which causes him to do a thing called hollowing. Gods can't naturally do that in the world of Dark Souls, but humans, they do that quite a bit. When you lose your sense of self or your ambition, you hollow, and you become a husk of your former self. That's what Gwyn did, because he was so rooted in his fears. And when you fight, he's the final boss in Dark Souls 1. That's him, by the way. He's an old man. But no, when you fight him, by the time in Dark Souls 1, he's not like other bosses. Other bosses, they're strong, epic, like Artorias, they go. He's just an old man flailing at you to alleviate his fears. He doesn't even have like lightning powers, which he's famed for having. He's just lost himself. So, but your goal is to continue the Age of Fire because you're also afraid of change. And by the time in Dark Souls 3, hundreds of years have passed. The world, your environment can be affected by your fears. And the world of Dark Souls 3, by the time that's happened, it is, right? The world, the atmosphere of the entire game is just that everything's gone to, it's not great. So you're finally able to end that process of pain by allowing the world to go through that natural change. That's so important. The point is that I don't have all my things. We ball. That the soul is a natural part of everybody, and it's fragile. Feelings, like our sorrows, our loves, our fears, and our hates, they can consume us, and it's important to let go of those feelings sometimes. Our attachments can define us, and that's not great to let them do. They'll fade. We need love, care, and support. What hollowing is burnout, and we need to enjoy things in moderation to prevent burnout, and we need to hate things in moderation to prevent that hate from consuming us. To summarize, Dark Souls 1 teaches us about the power love and fear hold over us. And Dark Souls 3 teaches us that it's okay to abandon those feelings, even if they feel selfish. But that's enough to talk about lore. We're gonna talk about peak. This is the best Souls game. Anybody who says Dark Souls 3 and Elden Ring does, they're liars. Well, I mean, their claims are valid. Anybody who says Bloodborne is, they're liars. Bloodborne sucks. I think, okay, cool, now I have these. Sekiro is very different from the others. So let's look at like the UI, because it plays very differently, and its design philosophy is a reflection of the themes that, we can take from this. It's a still image, but it's important enough. In Sekiro, well, in Dark Souls, and any of the other Souls games, you beat the boss simply by just dwindling down their HP, right? But in Sekiro, you can take down the boss in one hit. Yippee! But there's prerequisites, of course. So all bosses have a poise meter, right? And when their poise is expired by hitting them enough times with parrying, you can perform a death blow that takes away their entire HP bar. Yay. It's pretty difficult to do that because, their poise regenerates with how much quicker with how much HP they do have remaining. But you can take them down in one hit. And essentially, what this game encourages by that is just pure aggression, attacking relentlessly. And that's epitomized in the final boss of Sekiro, who's like one of the guts. It's really cool. Ishin, the sword saint, who has a quote, "Hesitation is defeat." It's a pretty good quote, I like it. Yeah, it's different from just like needing to get good. But it's rooted in like the Buddhist concept of one mind, where your fears and inhibitions are the thing that holds you back the most. So if there's ever something you want to accomplish, you just need to try, well, not just try, but you need to let go of your fears, because they do hold you back. That's what they do. Ishin, he's an he's the hardest boss in the game, but also the best. It took a lot of tries to beat him, but I beat him. And just yesterday, I beat him without taking any damage, and no buffs, and no special techniques. Because he's fun. He's fun. But, concluding words. Through these games, we learn about being human. Going through struggles is intrinsically part of life, and overcoming that is simply what we do. Activities that seem impossible don't seem so, or might not seem so after just trying. Art is a reflection of the circumstances that the mediums were made in. Art is life, and that's pretty beautiful. With this insight, I hope you feel motivated to study for that math test or something else, because I sure don't. You should pass through that fog wall, fight the boss on the other side. We're a collection of our experiences, right? So adding on to that is possibly the most important thing that we can do. Thank you.
Can you get it done in 8 minutes?
Not bad, guys.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.